Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the At the Pylon podcast. Alongside Chandler Betts, my name is Nick Antonakas. Chandler, the dust has finally settled from the Patriots free agency period. Seems like they're finally done making signings here after over a week of being able to uh, work out deals with free agents. I guess before we kind of dive into it, because obviously we don't want to waste time, there was so much that happened over these past 9 or so days that we want to recap. But what were your overall thoughts of the Patriots offseason in terms of free agency signings? Because it seems like a lot of Boston media is pissed about it. I mean, and you could talk about how you are too, because I didn't even do my check-in yet.
I'm doing so great. I'm currently on spring break, which is awesome. I know you were just on spring break last week in España, which is
Yep,
lovely.
that
Uh,
was a good time.
yeah. But touching upon the Patriots, we suck. The Boston media, I don't know. I feel like we're pretty 50-50 with Boston media a lot of the time, at least me personally. I feel like sometimes it's a little extremist. Sometimes they go to be like heavy ball washers. They're completely right in this one. We have signed no real talent. We've kept some people in-house, which has been nice. Um, but everything that we needed to do, we didn't do. So that doesn't necessarily mean we're going to suck this next year. It just means that we're going to have a really good draft. And we're going to see a lot of growth and good health from Kendrick Bourne. If we're going to have a hope in hell of being even a 5-win team, because this is not looking good. I cannot stress how bad this is looking.
Yeah, honestly, it was a pretty lackluster free agency in terms of reaching out and extending the olive branch to new talents, which we were looking to do. Obviously, we're going to get into it all here on the pod. Why don't we start out, Chandler, with one of the big moves right before free agency officially kicked off? Mac Jones said goodbye as Chandler does his wave. We sent him back home to the Jacksonville Jaguars
Yeah,
for, I believe it was a sixth round
six.
pick.
Yeah,
So uh, Mac is out. We would see in free agency that we'd bring in a new quarterback. We'll talk about him later. But what'd you think about the Mac move? I mean, I think it was inevitable, but what were your reactions to it?
yeah. So I saw people talking about Mac getting traded for all the way up to a third. I thought that was crazy. So if we
I
harken
said
back,
that too.
yeah, you did. I wasn't gonna call out names, but if you want to call out names, you did. And now that I
I'll own
am
it.
call out names, you know who had him getting traded for a sixth round pick? Given it was to the Rams, but it was me. It was me. Um, thank you, thank you. Yeah, it just made too much sense to send him to Jacksonville, actually, which is weird because they now have two quarterbacks from that 2021 first round class, being Trevor Lawrence and Mac Jones. Uh, I wish him the best. He seems like a good enough guy. He does have his little issues with being a little too over competitive and kicking people. Um, but we'll see. I hope that he does well. I hope that he can revitalize his career, and I hope that we can say that we ruined him because in a way we did. In a way he ruined himself, but in a way we ruined him.
Yeah. I think you basically hit on all the points that I was going to make. As much as I thought that he was going to go for, I mean, I didn't think he was going to go for a third. I thought it
No,
was
he could.
possible that he could
Yep.
go for a third. Um, that was obviously just thrown out the back door. Um, Apparently the Patriots were shopping him hard.
Yeah.
The most they could get was that sixth rounder from the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Makes
Um,
sense.
Supposedly there was also some behind the scenes talk. The Patriots accommodating to Mac wanting to go home, obviously a Jacksonville native, so they
I
tried to
did.
make that deal work out. But I mean, good for Mac. I obviously wish him the best as well. I'm definitely on the same boat as you that I think we ruined him because I really think that he could have been something up to about halfway through this season where uh, crap really started to hit the fan. But regardless, I don't really know how he's going to revitalize his career behind Trevor Lawrence. Um, Taking some time out of the limelight, maybe, and then when a team
That's yeah.
needs a starter, shift him in there or something like that. Maybe he could work his way back, but I think it's going to be a slow build up for Mac Jones trying to get back into the starting game, at least a season or two. So, but still wishing him all the best.
Yeah.
It was some good times here in New England, but the time has come to move on. And with that, Chandler, we move into our re signing phase. here on the what the Patriots did. Obviously, probably their most active phase of free agency in terms of like actual moves that they made. Just to list off who we brought back, and then we can dive into a couple specific deals that we want to. Mike Uwenu, that
Huge.
was one of the big moves. Both you and I really wanted him to make his way
Big
back.
contract, but I think it's deserved. Bigger than I thought by a good
Yeah,
amount.
we'll
Closer to what you
talk.
thought.
Yeah, it was similar to what I thought, but we'll talk about his numbers specifically. Hunter Henry, another one. Kendrick Bourne ended up getting the nod to return. Josh Uche took a huge hometown discount to stay,
Yes.
which was really nice. Anthony Jennings, another talented player working his way back.
Uh-huh.
Jalen Rager, a guy that you and I had on our radars. We wanted him back. He ends up returning. And that's pretty much it in terms of the re-signing game,
Yeah.
in terms of players that we brought back. Um, so like you said, Mike Uwenu, the real big one of the group, got the biggest contract of the group. 3 years, $57 million, 38 million guaranteed. When you do the math out, it has him netting out about 19 million per year, which is around exactly where I thought he was
Yeah.
gonna land. Because
For
when you
sure.
average it out, um, top 10 O lineman in the league, bottom of that barrel was making around 20 million. I
Mhm.
said Uwena was probably like top 18 in the
You're slightly
league.
outside that, I'd say.
Yeah, so around that 18, 17 spot. So I had him slotting in at around 18 to 19 million per year, and that's what he gets.
Yeah.
Huge because the Patriots really needed to keep the best piece of their offensive line in New England, especially considering how free agency ended up going, which we'll get into. They didn't really bring in that much other talents on the O line. So it's good that we kept running around, but what did you think of the move?
I thought it was necessary, especially with, as we saw, all of the huge contracts going out to offensive linemen in this free agency cycle. It was like at that point, really early in the cycle, I did not think we were going to be able to keep him because I thought we were going to spend actual money, which we didn't. But I guess as a result of not spending on anybody who we really wanted, we got to keep somebody that we actually really wanted in Nwanu. It's key whoever the next quarterback is. We'll talk about the one that's currently on the roster. Um, we'll of course we'll talk about that, but whoever it is needs to be protected, as we've seen with Mac Jones. Um, so this is a great first step to having that happen.
Yeah, obviously, as we both said, very important to bring Michael Wenu back in both of our plans. So I'm glad that he ended up working his way back. Speaking of our plans, if anybody wants to go back and check out our offseason plans, see how accurate we were, make sure to go check out that episode. Chandler and I did a full analysis and predictions for what we wanted the Patriots to do this offseason. So go back, check out how we did in that episode if you're interested. But
Obviously, we live in a fantasy world where everything we want to happen happens, but also we did considerably better than Elliot Wolf did.
yeah,
Like,
I honestly, and I mean, I think we did both a good job in terms of building a good roster,
I
but I
agree.
think we also did a pretty good job in predicting what happened. Like, we
Realistic.
got a good amount of things right, surprisingly.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, besides the
100%.
new signings, which we'll get to, sadly.
Sure. Yeah, and get
Um,
those
Trucking
reasons.
on here with the New Englanders who ended up sticking around. Hunter Henry's deal, 3 years, $27 million. I thought this was a pretty big overpay. I know you were big on bringing
Really?
Henry back.
I had him. I think I had him. I don't have it off the top of my head. I think I had it for it was like 3 years, 38 or something, 37 and a half. Um,
Million?
yeah,
That is
he's.
way more than what we gave him. Oh my
I
God.
know exactly. That's why I was really pumped. I don't have it. You know what? Let me pull
I
it.
had him I had him at 3 years, 6 million annually. So I had him at 18 million.
Yeah, like if you look at the how much what's his name Dalton Schultz got. Dalton Schultz got around 9.5, I think.
Yeah, but I
So
mean, you think Hunter Henry's like a nudge behind Dalton Schultz?
I do. I think that the only difference is the age, really, in my opinion, and the fact that
I
we were able
guess.
to keep such a really good player on a really efficient deal was huge for us. I thought that was that in a way kind of offset some of the miscalculations I had for the Onwenu deal.
I just feel like I don't know. I feel like using I this was like a big drop of our money in terms of using on talent, that's not really Hunter Henry's
It's a
fault
safety net
because,
though.
yeah, we could have spent more money on other talents. Uh, I just was kind of like upset that the fact that we were spending, all right, this is where our money's going for our talent. We're really spending 27 million on
Hey, I
Hunter
love it.
Henry.
I had 35 million going to him.
Wow.
And I
I
think
guess I
that
guess
still would
that's
have been a
not that
good.
bad in
I think
comparison.
that still would have been a
Jeez.
good deal because tight end
Surprised I
is
didn't rip you up in the episode. Damn, that's a
no,
lot of
because
money, bro.
not really because when you have a tight
35
end,
million?
yeah, 35 over 3 years. Um, I think that was a great deal, and I think this is an excellent deal because we've seen how important tight ends are to young quarterbacks. You
That's
see
true.
that with pretty much everybody. I mean, Kelsey with Mahomes, that was an immediate one. While we're on the Jacksonville train, Evan Engram for Trevor Lawrence, them signing him pretty much revitalized Trevor Lawrence's career. You see it everywhere. Njoku with Baker Mayfield in Cleveland. Um, I mean, the Patriots offense has been predicated around tight ends for most of our lives. A really good, reliable tight end who can both block and catch is an effective route runner is going to be a third down option for a young quarterback to look at. Huge, invaluable, and this is an excellent deal to keep him here.
Yeah,
He was
I
the
mean,
best.
I love Hunter Henry. Don't get me wrong. I just thought it was a little bit of an overpay. Regardless, still happy to have him back.
Yeah,
Um, the final real piece of the puzzle in terms of who we wanted the Patriots to bring back, and obviously a lot of controversy throughout this offseason followed him in terms of how much money he was going to get. Turns out that Kendrick Bourne does return to the Patriots. 3 years, $19.5 million. Only 5.5 million of that 19.5 was guaranteed.
great
How
deal.
this deal was structured was really he's only guaranteed money through year one. We could get an out after next season with no cat debt against us. So, I mean, you said it perfectly, Chandler. Huge steal. I agree with you.
Yeah,
I obviously wanted Bourne back. Um, I remember when we were talking at the very beginning of the offseason, I think you were saying you'd give him around 11 million a year.
I said 10. Yeah, or I ended
Yeah,
up with
10.
10, but I think I
And
started with 11.
I was pushing you down more towards 8 because I was afraid of the ACL tear.
Yeah,
He ends up getting less than what we both thought. Um, and even better is that out after the first year. God forbid he comes back next year and he's nothing like he was last year because of that ACL tear. We just cut ties after year one. As sad as it is to say, we have an out. So shout out to the Patriots front office on this one. Turned out good.
yeah, it's a good deal. It's a good deal for Bourne too, because he knows that he's going to be a top target here in a way that he possibly wouldn't be in other places, especially coming off an injury where it's possible that he isn't ready for week one, from what I've heard already. So if he isn't ready for week one, he already knows the playbook. The staff already knows him, or a lot of the staff already knows him. I think that this is a slam dunk signing for him, kind of a necessary signing for him, and a huge one for the Patriots.
Yeah, and obviously we'll see as we get into more of the new signings for the Patriots how little talent they actually went around to sign.
Yeah,
So
what
it
talent?
seems
What are we
like,
talking about?
yeah,
What
exactly. It
talent?
seems like Kendrick Bourne is really going to be our wide receiver one heading into next season, which will definitely be an interesting recipe there. But
And we know it's
when I,
dark when I'm already seeing on the Twitter timeline. I'm already seeing Taekwon Thornton's putting in work this offseason. It's gonna be great. I'm like, oh
bro,
my
I've
lord.
seen
Oh,
the
no,
workout
no, no, no,
vids.
no, no,
We
no.
got we got Kendrick Bourne, Bailey Zappi, and Tyquan Thornton. Like, what is
I
this
wanted to
trilogy
throw
from
up.
hell, bro?
I have not come that close to throwing up over like a Patriots thing since the Patriots were actually good at football. It's
It's shocking how Bailey Zappi's still in the roster right now. I mean, we'll see how things
Hey, we
unfold after the
re-signed Nathan
draft.
Rourke too, and that's awesome. That's
Oh,
I
what are we gonna have? Four quarterbacks? What the hell's going on?
well, you know who has four quarterbacks right now? The Cleveland Browns.
Yeah,
It's
no, one of
Google.
them isn't Joe Flacco for some reason.
Yeah, crazy. Neither is a Patriot. But let's talk about it's a good transition actually. Quarterbacks
Yeah,
on our
into the
roster.
quarterbacks. Yeah, so we'll move on from our re-signing phase. As we said, guys like Anthony Jennings working his way back. We don't have to get into his deal. Josh Uche, we already talked about the hometown
I
discount.
actually do want to talk about the Anthony Jennings one really quickly.
Go for
I
it.
think that that's a really interesting re-signing. I think that it absolutely should have happened.
Me too.
Of course, I think he's great. Where is he going to fit into the rotation though?
Apparently, his deal was
Not too.
structured in a way, Chandler, that he was going to be like a rotational player because a
That's
lot of his
silly
money
because
is. I know. I thought the same thing because I thought he was going to replace Uche,
agreed.
except in a full time role. Like he's going to
If
do his
anything,
own thing
Uche should be
and
the
Uche's role.
rotational player because he can't do
Well,
run
he's
defense.
going to be too. It's just Jennings' deal is structured in a way it's very incentive heavy. So
Sure,
he's not going to get a lot of that money that's on paper
I did see that.
because of
Yeah,
the fact that he's not going to be in because he's going to be rotating in and out, which is
yeah,
kind of interesting. Uh, I guess it's for the inevitable when Uche ends up hopefully, well, not hopefully, I hope he sticks around, but inevitably probably leaving after next season because
sure.
although he took a discount now, if he pops off next year and puts up 2022 numbers, he could be getting a big payday that he
Yeah.
wasn't due this season. So,
Yeah, maybe I'm already projecting it, but maybe we decide that we should trade Uche to a team that's actually going to be decent. It's an expiring deal. It's a cheap expiring deal also. Uh, keep him for half the year, trade him, and then Jennings rocks for the rest of the season. But I just think
I'd be down for
it's
that.
silly when there
I
are
just
so
feel
many
bad
holes.
because he wants to stay
I know he really was adamant about wanting to play for Mayo,
more than
which I
Bourne,
love. That's again one of the good things that's come out about Mayo that these players love him. He's a player's coach. We've known this. Um,
except Mac Wilson.
except Mac Wilson, which I was bummed out about that. But we'll talk
That
about his
was
decline.
confusing.
I was very excited about it, which it's why is Mac Wilson not like him? Mac Wilson, Gerard Mayo, and maybe it was Belichick, maybe it was Steve Belichick who made Mac Wilson into a true linebacker or a true edge rusher from a linebacker. Um, everything that he's gonna get in his career is from that defensive coaching staff and not showing any loyalty to it. It's a bad football team. You shouldn't show loyalty to a bad football team. But at the same time, would have been nice to keep him. But I guess if we had that log at edge rusher already that we're talking about, it doesn't really make sense to give him the bag.
Yeah, and like you've been alluding to, Chandler, I think it's time to move on to the quarterback situation. Obviously, with
Oh
Mac
yeah.
Jones going out, we saw Jacoby Brissett make his return to New England. Obviously, former third round draft pick for the New England Patriots back in 2016. He returns to the team on a 1 year, I believe it was $8 million. I'm
Yep.
double checking myself right now.
Yes, you're right.
Okay, good. $8 million. That was the quarterback I had the Patriots getting in our offseason
Mhm.
plan. So hooray for me, I guess. But yeah, I was happy with the signing. I don't know why. I agree with Boston media's perception of we didn't sign any talent. What are we doing? But why are we so upset about Jacoby Brissett being a bridge? I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't think there's a reason to be upset about it. I think that he's a quarterback who is able to mentor somebody. He's been in a lot of different organizations. He's been in the Patriots before in the Belichick era. He's been in Indy as a starter there, as a good starter that could have brought that team to the playoffs. Um, he's been in Washington,
Yep.
and I feel like I'm forgetting one team, but maybe I'm not. Uh,
Cleveland?
Yes, Cleveland. Thank you.
Yeah, I
He
thought
wasn't
so.
for a little bit. Yeah. So he's been able to. I think he's probably with AVP there. Actually, now that I'm thinking about that, he's been there for a little bit.
Oh,
I
interesting.
don't quote me on that, but I think that that's probably the case. Um,
I wouldn't
so yeah,
doubt it.
I like it. I was always on board with it happening, and a little prognostication here with the Commanders signing Marcus Mariota. Marcus Mariota seems like a lot better of a mentor for Jaden Daniels than Drake May, in my opinion. So I think that we're starting to lean towards the thought that I had about it's probably 3 weeks ago, a month ago now, that the Commanders are leaning towards Jaden Daniels, and that would keep Drake May for us as long as we don't be stupid and trade out, unless we're trading out for 3 first-round picks and Justin Jefferson.
I mean, that's crazy that May might fall to three. And honestly, I was really
Love
set
it.
on the Patriots getting Jaden Daniels. So that was definitely interesting, especially how the offseason assembled. But at the
Sure.
same time, I feel like Brissett would also be a great uh mentor for a guy like Jaden Daniels. As I said in my offseason plan, I feel that those two guys have a very similar play style. Obviously, Brissett a lot less dynamic than Daniels is, but at his core,
Yeah,
he's got
I
that
think that they
scrambling
don't
side.
quite have the same play style. I think that Brissett's more of a scrambler, not a runner. I guess is it's a very archaic way of describing it. But
That's fair.
Jacoby Brissett isn't going to use his legs to extend plays beyond the line of scrimmage in a way that Daniels is, in a way that Mariota does. So I think that Mariota is the slam dunk because I like Marcus Mariota. I think that he was kind of shafted in a couple of the places that he's been. I
I
think
mean,
there's a ton
Atlanta,
more
he
growth.
totally fall apart. He fell apart in Atlanta.
Yeah. watching quarterback, obviously, when you get to see the behind the scenes of a person, you start to humanize them, you start to like them a little bit more. But Mariota seems like he's able to string together at least half a season of good football while mentoring a quarterback. As long as he knows what's going on. He knows that they're not going to pick Marvin Harrison Jr.
Mhm.
Also, complete tangent. People are starting to say that Malik Neighbors is a better prospect than Marvin Harrison Jr., and I would like to be on record to say that those people are dumb. Those people, you should not listen to those people, whoever they are. I would assume that they're not people of any kind of reputation, but I did start seeing stuff about that. It's prospect fatigue. I talk about it all the
Yeah,
time
that's exactly what I was gonna
because
say.
people haven't thought that he's so good for so long. They're like, oh, maybe he's not that good actually, because they start way over analyzing his film, and then say, oh, maybe the next best guy is actually the really good guy. Marvin Harrison Jr. is the special talent. Patriots shouldn't take him at 3. Um, Probably not, especially when if there's going to be Drake May available. But yeah, those people are dumb. I just wanted to say that on the record. That's been on my mind for the last 24 hours.
Yeah, well, as much as this signing for Brissett hopefully shapes out to the Patriots drafting a quarterback in the first round, Chandler, besides that move to bring in Jacoby, there wasn't really a lot of other
Nah.
moves.
Yep.
I'll literally go through and list them all right now. We brought in Antonio Gibson on a 3-year, $11.25 million deal. I liked that signing, don't get me wrong. And then we also brought in Austin Hooper, 1 year, $4.25 million. Sion Takitaki, back to the defensive side of things. That's a good
Yes.
signing.
Great signing.
2 years, 6.645 million. That's a very interesting number.
Love it.
Uh Armon Watts, 1 year, 3 million, 800,000 guaranteed. And then offensive lineman Nick Leverett, whose
Yay.
details to his contract have not been very specified yet.
We
Um,
also have a couple other people.
oh
The
yeah, and
Steelers
KJ Osborne we brought in.
and the Steelers offensive tackle, who we signed
Oh
the
yeah,
first time in or second signing we had in the cycle. Maybe first actually.
I
I
think it
don't know
was
if
the
Antonio
first.
Gibson. Um, Whatever it was. Yeah, let's go get an offensive tackle who started for the last 3 years when their offensive line has been almost worse than ours. It's not worse than ours, but almost worse than ours. For that whole time. That's just great. Really, really building a winning culture back here. We are gonna stink. But the
Yo,
Sione Takitaki thing.
honestly, I've read up on Leverett. I don't hate him. He
Yeah.
didn't play at all last year. He played 4 snaps last season.
So I'm talking about the other guy.
Yeah, I
His
know, I
name.
know. But
Uh,
the season before, apparently he was. I want to double check myself, but he was like,
Leverett.
yes, here we are. Yeah, Leverett. Just 12 pressures and 761 offensive snaps 2 years ago.
Pretty
That's
good.
that's pretty damn good. Um,
Yeah.
the Steelers guy I've heard nothing about since because he was our first signing,
Mhm.
and I thought
Yeah.
he was a center.
I
I
thought
guess
he
he's
was.
a
I thought he was
rotational
a.
guy.
He could be a center. I don't even know.
But the point is, as soon as we signed him, like we've literally seen nothing, like literally nothing on him.
Yeah.
So great.
That's not a good thing. The
And with
Antonio
Trent
Gibbs
Brown
signing,
leaving, yeah,
Antonio
go ahead.
Gibson. I like it. He was a college wide receiver at Memphis. He's a receiving back. He's had his rookie season. He was very good. Um, and quite literally, the meme has been going around for almost 3 years now. The James White role is filled. That's literally what he's here to do. He's here to be the scat back, the receiving back. What we thought Pierre Strong could be, what we thought Ty Montgomery could be. He's gonna do it, and he's probably gonna do it pretty well. And I do actually think that gives us a fairly a more diversified running back room this year than we had last year. Maybe not more talented, but big fan of it. Sione Takitaki though, that's the only one that I'm like really pounding the drum for. That's a great signing. Takitaki is a he was a draft darling of mine back in 2020. I think it was when he was playing with Jordan Love at Utah
Yep.
State. Um, awesome linebacker. I think that this is a huge one for the defense. And I think this is really going to um, keep us at the standard that we were at this past year. In Cleveland, he didn't get quite the reps that he could have, but I think that he's going to be awesome here. I think that's something a little pre work, somebody that is going to be underappreciated all the way until training camp when it starts coming out. Oh my God, he's really good at football.
Yeah, and potentially, I mean, obviously a Mac Wilson replacement, but potentially a more dynamic one in that role.
Yeah,
So our
and
defense is
more
shaping
true
up.
to the role as well.
True, true. But our defense is shaping up to be very good, if not
Yeah,
better than last year. So that's exciting. But trailing back to our additions on the offensive side of the ball, Austin Hooper we bring in on a 1 year, $4.25 million
another
deal.
Cleveland pickup.
But
A lot of Cleveland pickups.
we let Pharaoh Brown walk.
That was silly, but he
Like
got a
why?
sizable, he got a pretty sizable amount of money actually. From
He got like 5 million.
Yeah, it's just 2 million more than what we gave to Austin Hooper, who's a fairly comparable
No,
player. Austin
it's literally 0.75 more.
was it Austin Hooper not three?
We gave Austin Hooper $4.25 million.
Oh, that does change my opinion a little bit. I thought it was 3.5.
No.
Um, yeah, I mean, I like Austin Hooper. He was really good in
I
fantasy
like him
football
too.
when he was in Atlanta. Um,
It's just like,
but
why not keep the young guy?
well, how old do you think Farrah Brown is?
24.
He's 28.
What?
Yeah.
Yo, what? That's
Yeah,
crazy.
Farrah Brown's not young. Um, maybe that changes your opinion a little bit. I'm fairly
Yeah, it
like
does. Yo,
I'll
what?
fact check myself. Uh,
Watch him just be 24 and you.
I don't think so. I am fairly certain I'm right. He's 29 actually. I wasn't even right.
Wow, that's
I knew he was
crazy. So he
older
just
because
emerged out of no. Okay, so I don't care. I thought he was a
yeah, but
younger guy with potential. Never mind.
no,
Okay.
he's not.
Okay, yeah. So Austin Hooper, that's great. I'm glad with that.
Yeah, no, he's been old. And Austin Hooper's roughly the same age. I think Austin Hooper's probably 29, 30 in that range.
Yeah.
Um, Good receiver. He might try to be what we thought Gesicki was,
Hmm.
maybe. Not quite the same profile, not quite as explosive, or at least allegedly explosive, because we did not see that with Gesicki. Um,
No, we did
yeah,
not.
it could be okay. I don't really have any too strong opinions about this, and I'm the one who's known for having strong opinions about everything regarding the Patriots. That's not a good sign when I just don't care about these bums that we sign. KJ Osborne, though, if we want to talk about that, KJ Osborne, great guy, actually saved a woman from a burning car a couple of years
Wow.
ago. Yeah, absolute weapon. Um, he is one of those, the Patriots blueprint right now is get people that were once wide receiver threes in fairly good offenses and then hope that they can become wide receiver ones. It worked with Kendrick Bourne to a certain extent. Um, did not work with Devontae Parker, even though he was more of a two. Did not work with Juju thus far, even though I guess he was technically a one for like a season. Uh, did not work with who's the other person? Aguilar.
Yep.
Uh, it doesn't work. Kendrick Bourne isn't even really a one. I like Kendrick Bourne. He's cool, good guy. You got to talk to him. That's awesome. He's like a fairly good wide receiver. He's like on most teams an average wide receiver too, and he is our by far our best pass catcher, our best wide receiver because Hunter Henry's our best pass catcher. Not good, rather not good. Kendrick Bourne, KJ Osborne could actually end up being our wide receiver one this year though, and I'm fairly optimistic about him. Need a
Now,
big
I do like the KJ Osborne signing, only $4 million. He's a
yeah,
pretty young guy too,
absolutely.
so I'm glad to bring him on. Speedy,
No
clutch
locker
wide
room there.
receiver, according to Minnesota fans. But
Yeah,
my main thing, honestly, Chandler, was the amount of talent that became available over this free agency period that the Patriots just simply passed up on.
no
Now,
thank
you and I both said Calvin Ridley is not worth the overpay.
I agree. That was
Um,
a crazy contract. Was it four
he
years, 74?
4 years, $92 million
Uh,
to the Tennessee
uh,
Titans. Like that,
uh.
when I saw that, I was like, all right, I'm glad the Patriots didn't bite
Oh
on
yeah, I was
that
like, yeah, I
because
was like 20,
that's a
20.
lot of money. And he
That's
turns 30 later this year. That is
that's
a
crazy.
lot of money.
After having like a mediocre season.
Yeah, literally. He didn't live up to the wide receiver one hype that he was going to
Yeah,
supposedly have in Jacksonville. So he goes and he makes a bag in Tennessee. So, I mean, good for him. I mean,
they
getting
have
that money,
nobody. They have
they
not had a
literally
wide
have
receiver
nobody.
since they traded AJ Brown. That team has sucked at wide receivers. The wide receiver one this year was what? Like a Haynes Smith or something. I don't even know who their wide receiver one was. I don't think I can name one.
DeAndre Hopkins,
Oh yeah, but he's like a geriatric. So who
I
cares?
guess. Well, he's still there. I thought he
Yeah, I
was
guess he has
gone,
one
but
of
he
the
is
league.
still
He has one
there.
of the league.
But yeah, Calvin Ridley, I wouldn't have wanted to bite on that. But then we
No,
get guys like the Chargers releasing Mike Williams, getting rid of Keenan
thank you,
Allen.
Jets.
Keenan Allen went to the Bears for a fourth round pick. The reason the
True.
Patriots didn't bite on that is because his contract was too expensive.
which is
Come
fair.
on,
The contract is
guys.
huge.
How
Contract is huge.
big?
Fair. Was it like 25 million in dead cap or something? Like it was large. That's
Hmm.
why they literally had to cut him or they weren't going to be cap compliant for the year.
Well, wait,
Um,
who?
the Chargers or they had to trade
Oh,
him. I should say.
yeah, trade him, trade him.
Um, and then cut Mike Williams. They were going to have to get rid of I think two of Williams, Bosa, uh,
Keenan Allen.
Allen, thank you, and then there was one other guy.
It was
Khalil Mack.
Khalil Mack.
Yeah, they had to get rid of some combination of that, and they might stink. I never thought I'd say it because I love Justin Herbert. They might suck. Their wide
Yeah,
receiver one right now.
their offense looks pretty damn bad.
Their wide receiver one right now is Quentin Johnson, who was a bust wide receiver from this past year.
Well, they got to be going wide receiver in the first
They
round. I bet
have
they're
to. They might even
praying
trade up for
so
one.
hard that they get Marvin Harrison.
I wouldn't be surprised if they actually go. That'd be crazy if they got Marvin Harrison. That would be a weapon. That'd be a
Wait, who's
crazy.
that for? Is it New York?
It's Cardinals. They're not going to trade out. They want him.
What if the I just thought of something crazy. Patriots trade down to five, 3 for 5, and we get like a load.
Five is
Uh
the Chargers. There you go.
yeah, I know. Chargers draft Marvin Harrison Jr. at 3 because they really think that the Cardinals are going to take him at 3 or at 4. So they trade up to 3 to draft Marvin Harrison Jr. Cardinals are not taking a quarterback at 4.
Vikings probably trade with the Cardinals at that
Yeah,
point
they'll
for
probably get a.
waivers.
Oh, yeah, damn it. I was gonna
Yeah,
say,
you gotta step up.
imagine we let a quarterback fall to us
Don't
there.
take this risk. We're
Oh, that
not.
would be so good.
Draft day is one of my favorite movies. We're not in draft day right now. We're not going to trade back and still get Sonny, whatever. Sonny's the name of the GM, whatever the guy's name. We're not going to get um Chadwick Boseman. We're not going to trade back and still get all those players. Get our picks back and then a kick returner because we goddamn feel like it. Great movie if you haven't seen that. Highly recommend it. Um, but yeah, don't play cute with this. Just sit and take the quarterback. But for the Chargers, I wouldn't be surprised if I still love Brock Bowers for them at 5, and then I wouldn't be surprised if they go wide receiver in the second round, and then maybe even another wide receiver in like the 5th or the 6th round because this is a
Yeah.
deep class. You can get talent. Um, but yeah, they might stink. Enough about the Chargers though.
Yeah, I mean, and we also passed on a guy like Mike Williams. He ended up getting a bag from the Jets, 1 year,
Yep.
$15 million.
Yep.
Um,
Vice
for
President Aaron Rodgers. There we go.
literally VPAAR. There you go.
That's one of the craziest things I've ever seen on my phone.
He's up next.
Yeah, literally, the New York
That's crazy.
Times sent it to me. They were like, "Yeah, Aaron Rodgers is a VP candidate for RFK Jr." I was like,
That
"That's
is
crazy.
crazy.
That is not on the bingo card."
But yeah, regardless, Patriots totally missed the boat on offensive talent on
Everybody,
that side of
everybody.
things. As much as I am happy that we didn't overpay for a guy, a lot of people are ripping us for not overpaying for a guy
You kind of need to
because of the
overpay
fact.
when you stink. Uh,
Exactly.
but it's all going to be everything that happens right now is going to be predicated on what happens at the end of April. End of April is the draft.
I'd really be
Elliot,
content. Oh, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah, no, Elliot Wolf, acting GM right now, is not the contracts guy. He's the director of player personnel scouting and college scouting. So he's hanging his hat on this draft. He has faith in himself. Um, he probably hasn't been bad. I'd like to have optimism and attribute some of our better picks towards him. Um, I think that's kind of what's been coming out of the camps is that he's been fairly important for some of our better draft picks. But at the same time, this is the same team that drafted N'Keal Harry. This is the same team that drafted Tyquan Thornton. It's almost like we're probably going to draft Keon Coleman, and he's probably going to be mediocre for us because we're going to draft the tall wide receiver who maybe runs fast and maybe can do contested catches, but also has one of the worst contested catches rates in all of college football. Maybe if that happens, I'll pretend to be optimistic for like 3 months, and I'll be like, oh, it's gonna be a great sign. He's gonna be awesome. He's
Then
gonna revitalize us.
preseason rolls
He's gonna
around
have
and
Hunt.
then
He's gonna have
womp
Devontae
womp.
Parker levels of separation. Devontae Parker has literally
Man.
been. He also got money from. He got like better than a minimum contract from the
You got
Eagles.
you got almost $5 million from the Eagles.
What is it
Let
with the
alone
Eagles
we
and
ate 6 million in dead cap. Remember you and I were talking about that? We're like, nah, it's not worth it for the 100K. Apparently it
yeah,
was. I mean, we cut him like as soon
it
as
was
free
one
agency
point one
opened.
million saved, but yeah, roughly, I think 1.1 million
No,
saved.
I think it was only $136,000, Chandler.
I don't know. You could be right if you. That's a
I'm
very
gonna
specific.
Google that,
Could be
but yeah,
wrong.
you keep
But
talking.
yeah, look that up. But yeah, talking about that. we have mutual friends that are Eagles fans. I don't know what their obsession is with mediocre wide receivers. Not even mediocre, just bad wide receivers. Um, I hope that I don't hope he's good. Actually, you know what? I don't hope Devontae Parker's good. He was
Me neither.
arrogant when he was here. He tried to pass off blame that was entirely his fault. That wasn't other people's fault. And I frankly do not like him, especially because he was bad for us. That's the key reason.
Now, Chandler, this number is going to shock you.
Yeah.
The move will result in $6.323334 million in dead money for the Patriots and $143,332 in cap savings.
Wild.
Can't believe we did that. I mean, I didn't want Devontae Parker around, but like literally in my offseason plan,
Maybe
I
locker
had
room
us
cancer.
shipping him off for a fifth. So imagine we sent him to the Eagles for a seventh or something like that. Like,
And nobody
you're
wanted him,
paying
I
like
guess.
$1 million more than what you gave him. Might as well, and you get exclusive rights. Come on,
Yeah, they didn't need exclusive rights because he stinks. Who
I
cares?
guess.
What team wants to
Nobody
sign
wants.
him? He's
Nobody
not good
wants.
at football. He might
Nobody.
have he'll probably have like one good catch and everyone will be like, he does this, he's like this. No, he's not. I guarantee you he is not. I promise.
I'd really be content, Chandler, with this offseason, honestly, if the draft pans out. Like you said, so much weight is on this upcoming draft for the New England Patriots. Possibly definitely the most important draft since Tom Brady. Possibly the biggest draft in franchise history, in terms of needing a moment to turn
Yeah.
around.
I mean,
So
I would argue like 1993, but also, whatever. Who cares about
no, we
that?
didn't. We
We're
didn't
done.
have
Hashtag done with the 90s also. This isn't a basketball
facts.
podcast, but hashtag done with the 90s.
But this isn't. In 1993, we didn't have 6 Super Bowls and turn away our head coach who won us all of them. So
That's a
you
good
know,
point.
this is a pivotal time for the Patriots in defining who they are. All you and I have said, Chandler, is they better draft a quarterback. So according to their offseason plans and moves, it's seemingly looking like they are. And then it's
I will
looking like we're
punch a
probably
wall
going to
if we
go.
don't. On air, I will punch a wall.
I'll join you. We'll punch a wall together. But regardless, that pretty much sets up for this episode. But setting up for next episode, we actually have another mock draft coming up,
Oh yeah,
Chandler.
we do. How many
Um,
rounds is it?
I
It's
want to
three.
say it's just the first round again.
Just first round again? Okay.
Oh wait, no, you're right. It's three.
3 rounds. Yeah, here we go.
First, second, and third rounds.
We are so back. Also, it is March. So maybe I'll definitely keep you guys updated on my bracket because
Me
putting it
too.
out in the world right now, you're gonna witness the first person with the perfect bracket. I will get the first game wrong.
Wow, no confidence.
Hmm.
I, on the other hand, I'm gonna get perfect bracket with Texas A&M winning it all. So
Oh my God, that's a deep
hats
inside
off
joke.
to Texas
That's a
A&M.
deep cut.
That's yeah, deep cut here on the at the Pylon podcast. But
Yep.
regardless, that's basically going to do it for this episode. Make sure to tune in next week. We're going to have a full 3 round mock draft. Best believe we both have the Patriots taking a quarterback with our third overall pick.
Yep.
But stick around to see who we have the rest of the teams taking and who we have the Patriots taking in the second and third round in next week's episode. But until then, a very interesting offseason so far for the Patriots with these free agency signings. Hopefully it pans out for the draft. But until then, all we can do is hope. So, alongside Chandler Betts, my name is Nick Antonakis. We'll see you back here next week for another episode of the At the Pylon podcast. Good night, everybody. Or good morning.